Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here and sitting talking about Father's Day. Yeah, Father's Day, and it's kind of after the date, but some constraint in terms of scheduling has prevented us to do that last week, and we are diving in it this week just to to give people an idea of what is going on in terms of Father's Day in the Asian community, how we see this, how we lived it. And with us to talk about this, we have Alexei. Alex is uh, Alex is a wealth management advisor, and he's with us, and he's going to talk about answer our question and have some comment about his views of Father's Day and how he celebrates it. And with the Alex, we have also Michael Joseph. Michael Joseph is an attorney, and he's a city commissioner of North Miami Beach as well, and it will be sharing that half an hour with us talking about the meaning of Father's Day in his family and as well in relation with other people and in the Haitian community. So just to start, I'm going to start with you, Michael. And the first question that comes to my mind when we talk about Father's Day is what what has been your best memory, I would say, in terms of living Father's Day as a son?
Thank you for having me to St. Law, this opportunity to speak on this issue. The best memory I have is just hanging out with my dad. I'm glad to have him still with me, and for my son to get to know his grandfather, because I never had that opportunity to know my grandparents.
Mhm.
They died in Haiti before he died in Haiti before I was even born. So having him in my life and being able to share that with my father is one of the best blessings. So like hanging out with my father and as a child was, because I rarely had a chance to see him. He was a pastor, and so he was very busy most of the time, and he didn't get a chance to see most of my school activities and stuff like that. He was working custodial jobs and going, working on at the church. So I didn't have that much opportunity. So every bit of opportunity I had with him, maybe in the backyard, just hanging out, or him telling me to let's go to the store together. To me, those memories, add up to like my most cherished times with my old man. So I'm happy. Those are my best moments. They're like scattered throughout my childhood, but just hanging out with them.
Right, right, right. Interesting, interesting. And how about you, Alex? What would be the best memory that you have from celebrating Father's Day as a son?
Yeah, for me, I thank God that I've had my father in my life pretty much my whole life. One of the key things for me, I have friends around my age. I'm in my mid 30s, and a lot of them didn't necessarily grow up with their father. So my dad, for me, my memory is just him being there ever since I can remember. So, that I appreciate. He stuck through thick and thin, relationship, job, whatever the case might be. He and my mom is still married for over 30 plus years. So, that I just love my dad for that, just always being around. And he's still around today. They're still married today. And, I appreciate him for making sure he was always there.
Great, great. Sounds good. I think for me it's about the same, although I have a different, I would say a different trajectory because having lived in Haiti for at least 25 years, and I left my dad there, and then I traveled, and we had that relation, kind of long distance relation, about what, maybe 30 years, and this is really valuable. It's been valuable to me because I was able to have all those conversations that I wanted to have, when you have your dad, and then carry this, I would say, to my life actually, and which is brought to the next question: how you, through the living of Father's Day, the experience with your father, how do you manage to transmit this type of tradition to, I would say, your own family, your own son, your own daughter? How do you manage to do that transition? Oh, this question is for you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So for me, when my dad being around, like I said, that was the most important thing for me, just to see him and be around. That's what I took as the most important thing from my dad, is always to be around. My dad, he didn't push the responsibility for my mom to take care of us. Like he was always there. He took us to school if he needed to. If he had to cook dinner, he had to cook dinner. He worked hard. He just did whatever he had to do. So for me, that translated for me, because I do the same thing for my kids now. Like, I don't look at me being a dad as just like working, make money, and that's it. And then, my wife take care of the rest. I don't see it like that. I see it like I have to be involved. Every single thing, I have to be involved in my kids, whether it's education. I'm involved with the school. I know what's going on. Who's their teacher? What's their grades? I know all that stuff. I have to be involved in church. Okay, or we're going, all of that. I have to be involved in the stuff they're interested in. That's important to me as well. What sports do you want to get into? Are you good at math? Are you good at what is it that makes you tick as a person? That way we can get your purpose out of you, because me, I'm just the person who's taking care of you. You're a blessing to me. How do I push you? How do I motivate you and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing? So for me, I got two kids. You can see them in the background there. My daughter is 8 years old. My son is 5. He just turned 5 last week. So they're great ages. They're curious about the world. They want to learn. They want to push. So I enjoy very much being involved in everything that they do.
Yeah, great, great. Yeah, I have the same, I guess. Mine are not that little, because they're 25 and 21. I got two girls as well, so we kind of have that as a common denominator here. So how about you, Michael? How did you kind of take the model of your father and try to transmit it, in a certain way, I would say, with your adaptation, your adjustment, your own adjustment to the new situation that is present now, the new life in Miami, in United States?
Well, another great question. I try to get all the parts that really impacted me and trying to amplify it in raising my son. As I mentioned, my dad was very busy growing up, and the parts that he was able to share with me, I try to be as just as intense or add more of it with my son. So when we have doctor's appointments, or where he goes to have stuff at his school or what have you, I attend. I try to make every attempt to be with them. I know I have to work as well, but at the same time, just being around them, letting them know that I'm here, doing the same thing that my old man did. Even though he worked a lot more than I did. Uh, um, the position I have right now, meaning being an attorney and what have you, gives me a lot of liberty to make some additional time, more than my dad, believe it or not. He was a lot busier taking care of his parish, as well as his other job, than I am. So I really do cherish the moments that I have with my son, and I just make it more. I just take an extra initiative to do that. I know my dad had the same ability. He would have done it for me, and now that he's retired, he likes to spend a lot more time, or seeking more time, since this pandemic has receded and he's gotten his vaccination, to see his grandson. And this is his time to really enjoy having the freedom to be there when he can and when he wants to be. I think you're muted.
Do you have a specific way that you celebrate Father's Day? Do you have a preference, I would say, when the day
Oh
of
no, no. My dad. Look, there's not a lot of days that really go to like really honoring your father besides Father Day. That's one thing that I think around the world people understand. I mean, Haitian mothers. If you're a Haitian mother, you kind of have two Mother's Days. But at the end of the day, they and rightly so. Let me be very clear. They deserve as many Mother's Days as they need, because my mom
Mhm.
worked really, really hard to raise myself and my sister. But yeah, so having the opportunity to celebrate a day with him is me, just swinging on by the house, spending some time with him, whatever, getting him a card, letting him know that
Mhm.
I care for him. My wife does. Having my my son is just starting to, get his words out, whatever, saying, "Hey, I love you, Grandpa," and that type of stuff, making him feel happy. So letting him know that his work, that his lifelong work, and instilling in myself as well as my sister, and he has two other nieces. I have two nieces. He has two other grandchildren or whatever. Having them around him makes him very happy. So when we reach out, especially on Father's Day, since we had children, I think those are the times when he really appreciates those times, and he cherishes them. Like you can just see it in his laughter and how he just wants to see his grandchildren or what have you. So just spending time with them, going by the house, letting him enjoy the fruits of his work in his country,
Mhm,
his
mhm.
life. I think that's the best gift or whatever, besides a card or anything I can actually give him. Just because right now time is the most precious thing that he has.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I didn't ask you how old are they? Your kids?
Oh, my son is 3 years old, and my nieces are, oh my God, nieces is five, and my 5 and 10.
Okay.
So he has a grandson. He was waiting for that. He got it through me. He has two granddaughters. He's looking for more. Believe it, and we get that nudge every so often
Eh,
when the
eh,
other one's gonna come along. So
sure, sure, sure. They want that
they,
little brother or
yeah,
that.
they want to keep pushing. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I know that. I know that. And yeah, how would you wish that your son later on celebrate Father's Day? Your son or your daughter later on. I mean, when you'll be at the age of your dad now, for instance. How do you
Well, I
envision that?
just them come just saying, hey, for me, if they're happy and safe, and they hit me up, say, hey, Dad, how you doing? That's good enough for me, because I understand people get busy or what have you, and I want them to grow into themselves. But if that is enough for me, to be quite frank. I know they're gonna. I pray to. I would hope they do more, but if I know that they're healthy, they're doing well, that's all I really need. I mean, that means I've done my job, and if they're successful, and then that makes me even a greater appreciation of them being around me. So that to me would be the greatest treasure. Just seeing like them reaching out to me and letting me know that, hey, Pop, we love you, we're there, and you did a great job as a father. That
Mhm,
to me that's it for me. I'm good.
mhm. And Michael, as a dad, I would say, uh, um, how do you see the whole movement that we are seeing now in the youth? There's a lot of changes. We see the LGBT community. We see our kids doing different things that we used to do. You know what I mean? So, how do you see that evolution going? What is your position as a dad to kind of uh, um, I would say, uh, embrace, I would say, a different way of living of your kids, or a different way of living of different, uh, I would say, orientation in term of career, in term of. Oh, but by the way, do you choose their career, or would
Oh,
you
no, no, my
let
dad.
them
Look,
decide?
just okay. When it comes to career, this like what every generation is gonna be different. Whatever, like what my dad had to go through is different from what I'm going through, as well as what's gonna happen with my son, what he's going through. I mean, it's a whole different environment. He grew up in a country that was, a certain type of way. He ended up leaving that country. Here I am. I'm living in a different type of environment. My son has a different environment, but at the same time, the thing that connects us is our values. The values that my old man got instilled in me is the same value I'm instilling in him: being a hard worker, being honest, being the best person you can be. And I'm gonna do that to whatever child that comes, maybe daughter or son. I'll be happy whatever God gives me. I'll say that right
Sure,
now.
sure, sure.
So just instilling in them, and like I said, it's a whole new environment. My dad didn't have to deal with dealing, going on Zoom or using technology. I'm more accustomed to it, but I'm pretty sure, when my son gets older, or my daughter or what have you, they're gonna have to be dealing with a different environment, technology that's probably gonna blow my mind. Just like, my dad growing up, they weren't, like, when he was born or whatever, back in the 40s or whatever, there weren't rocket ships, there weren't like a bunch of stuff going on, there weren't computers or whatever. So just imagine what's going to happen when my son grows up. There might be something that would be like, wow, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So like, but what carries on from generation to generation is the values that you instilled in them, and my dad instilled a lot of good values in myself as well as my sister, and we just we're just trying to instill that in the next generation that comes after.
Great, great, sounds good. Alex, yeah, because I don't want to forget Alex too, because we have
No,
to
no, no. We're gonna keep
grab him
give
in
him
the
some questions too.
conversation, you know. So what is your, yeah, about that? What is there a specific way you would like to celebrate your father during Father's Day, or you would like your son or your daughter to celebrate you during Father's Day?
That's a good question. So for me, one thing, my dad was a little bit different. He was not big on a specific day per se. He was more of like, okay, show me that you love me. Don't just show me on one day and then you come in and you're out. Show me throughout the whole year. So for us, it's not, we don't necessarily say, okay, Father's Day, we're doing this barbecue, you come to my house, you do this. That's not the way I was raised. Really, we didn't really celebrate many holidays at all, honestly. We just did what we could. We were around each other as much as possible. We loved on each other as much as possible. And that was pretty much like a daily thing that we try to do. So for my dad, I just make sure that, I understand where he wants to be. In my role, I'm the first kid. So I have a younger brother and a younger sister. So it's my job to make sure me and my dad are always on the same page in regards to the family, planning ahead. Okay, where do you want to retire? What do you and mommy, what do you want in 10 years? That's how, I show him the most value. When he sees that I care about that, when he sees that I care about, the family's legacy, making sure I'm checking on my younger brother and sister, making sure I'm taking care of my mom if she needs it, making sure I'm doing those things and being a leader in my household, that is what makes him proud the most. So no, we don't have a specific thing that we do on Father's Day that we, celebrate. If he needs help with a car, I do that. We're planning to help get him a new house. We're doing that. So all those things is how I show him that, I love him and I appreciate him as a father. And, he wouldn't want any other thing than that. If I show up at his house and we do a barbecue, he'd be like, okay, that's great, but that's not what I want. So that's how we do it. In regards to my family, I do the same thing. Now, I am a little bit different when it comes to like traditions and like events and like holidays. That I got from my wife's side, her side of the family. They celebrate everything. I mean, they celebrate and they're Haitian too, but they're a little different. You could have just graduated from kindergarten and we're having a party for that. So
Right.
my wife influenced me in that way, where her family, they do everything as far as partying and celebrating people. So we do that in my household. So pretty much all the little small wins, with my kids, we celebrate that. If they get good grades, we celebrate that. If, when their birthdays, fathers, all that stuff, we celebrate in my household. So that's a little bit different. But in regards to the values that my father taught me, those are the same. So show me that you love me. I'm going to show my kids that I love them. I'm not just going to talk about it. So all those things are very important that I learned from my father.
Sounds good. In terms of fatherhood, do you make any distinction? Is there any different view in terms of raising a girl or raising a boy?
That's a good question. I'll tell you, that's another difference between me and my dad. So the way we were raised in our household, so I have one sister. She stayed home for college. She was local. She pretty much just left the house. She just got married recently. So she pretty much stayed in the house almost up until she got married. She had an apartment for a year or so after she moved out. But she just got married this past year. So she pretty much stayed there until she got married, I would say. For us, for me and my brother, I went to school in Tallahassee. I went as far as I possibly could. My brother did the same thing. He went to school in Tallahassee. So we got out. We explored the world as far as getting outside of our local community. I met a lot of different people, which has helped me in my business today. Because I understand how to network and the value of, having other people in your circle. My sister I don't know if she necessarily got that same experience, whether she wanted to or whether it was my dad influence. I couldn't say that. But I do know that for me and my brother, we definitely got out. And after going to college and exploring, and that has definitely helped us big time as far as business and understanding, how the world really works. In regards to my kids, like for my son, for my daughter, I treat them the same. My daughter, she's very bright. She's super smart. She's smarter than my son at this point, I would say. So I push her, go for it. Whatever you want to do. You want to go to school in Russia, go for it. You want to touch the moon, go for it. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. There's no limitation. If you want to go to school in California, whatever, do whatever you want to do. I'm here to push you, and I'm here to make sure you get out and see the world, because whatever her purpose is, I want her to achieve it, and I don't want to hold her back from anything like that. So both my daughter's in sports now. She's playing tennis. My son is playing baseball. So if she want to do sports, do sports. That's a little bit different. I just make sure that, whatever they want to do, I support it and make sure I teach them the values and not going down the wrong path, obviously.
So which university did you go to?
I went to FAMU, so I did my undergrad at FAMU, and then I came back home when I started working. I did my MBA at Nova here in Fort Lauderdale. And my brother, he started off at FAMU as well, and then he transferred and finished at Florida State.
Great. And Michael, how about you? Do you think any differences in terms of raising a boy or a girl?
Well, I mean, I don't have a girl. I mean, but what I will say is that
he might come. You said,
or
you said that they were asking for siblings. So
yes, of course. I would say that I would raise them the same. At the end of the day, my dad didn't differentiate. Well, he did. Let me be very clear, because I have the same type of situation with Alex, because my sister, like, she left for like about maybe a couple of months, or like maybe 6 months, and then she was married or whatever. And you're right, that for boys, it's a whole different situation growing up in a Haitian household. So I was outside the house. I went to school. I went to FIU, but and ended up going to 2 law schools before I settled up at St. Thomas over in Miami Gardens. But I was able to be out of that house and exploring the world as much as I can. So it was that dynamic of boys having a lot more freedom and girls not having as much was true in my household. I can't deny it. It's a cultural thing, I guess. But I would treat my both my son and daughter the same. I feel that in this society, and especially here in this culture, I think that's what's common and what's expected. So I'm going to live to those norms. At the same time, I'm going to make sure that same values my dad put in me: work hard, be straightforward, God fearing, and what I'm going to do the same thing for both my son and daughter.
Great, sounds good. But on the other hand, I'm thinking about traditionally in the Haitian family, we see that parents, from the old generation, the first generation of immigrant, they kind of believe in a certain way of raising their kids, and among that, it's corporal punishment. So they will go and rope, using the roping and everything. What is your position, both, on corporal punishment or on having those, I would say, extreme measure to put constraint on your kids to do things that you wish them to do, but not necessarily they want to do? Yes, you mean. What would be your take on this, Michael?
You want to take it first, Alexis?
Oh man, you don't at me first. Oh boy. Okay.
I'm gonna just ditto what you say. So go ahead.
Oh man. In regards to discipline, I believe in discipline. I think you should discipline your children. I discipline my children. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or they don't listen, I believe you should discipline them. Obviously, you should not abuse your kids. That's a different level, but I think disciplining is important. In regards to leading them towards what I want them to do, I'll tell you this. So my dad, it's funny because my dad, he didn't necessarily tell me what he want me to do per se, but he would leave hints. Like, he would talk about money a lot. He would talk about, oh, Wade Cook, listen to these tapes about the financial responsibilities. He was big into that stuff. He would read, certain books or have all these audio books. He got involved in like, what was it, Quick Star or whatever, Amway at one point. So he was thinking entrepreneurial. So, those things he did. He didn't say, hey, I want you to be a financial advisor, you should manage money. But he mentioned from sometimes he would say, hey, if you're in the money, then that means you're in the money, stuff like that. So it's funny because both me and my brother end up in the financial industry. I'm a financial advisor and my brother's a financial analyst. So he didn't necessarily tell us to be in the money business, but we're both in the money business. So that's the same way I approach it with my kids. I would love for my kids to do certain thing, but what I do is I just try to leave hints, for example, my daughter, she just started playing tennis. I always wanted her to play tennis, honestly. I thought it was a better way to go, but she was doing gymnastics for a long time because that's what she liked to do. I would drop subtle hints. We would watch tennis on TV, and all of a sudden she's tired one day, she come home and she's like, I don't want to do gymnastics anymore. I want to do tennis. No problem. Good. Okay, let's make that switch. I didn't tell her to do it, but those hints, it kind of leads those directions. So that's the way I approach it. I just drop hints like my dad used to do, and whatever they end up doing, I will support it. But if I could help along the way and guiding him in the right direction, that's my job too.
Right. In other words, it's to create the environment, to push it, gently toward what you think should be done. That's
yeah. And I'll add one more thing. So one thing I have seen is whenever you tell someone, do this or don't do that, they usually do the opposite. So, it's like if you tell somebody, go do this or marry this person or do this or do that, a lot of time what I've seen, the thing that you don't want your kid to do, they end up doing it. And what you want your kid to do or you tell them do it, they end up not doing it. So why do that if that's going to happen?
So are you ever afraid of your children being resenting to you, because of you push them too much and things like that?
I just don't think it works because like for me, like I'd rather that you be passionate about what you're doing. Like, if there's nothing wrong with mentoring, guiding people, showing them the benefits, the pluses of minuses of something like that you're supposed to do. That's what we do as parents. We guide them in the right direction. We give them the plus and minus. Here's why you should do this. Here's why, you may be hurt in this direction, but you hope and you pray that they see the pluses like you do and they go in the right direction. Because if you try to force them in a certain way, like I said, a lot of times they run away from that because they think you have ulterior motives. So that's just not one of my belief systems that I should just push someone to do something. I want them to be passionate about it. I want them to want to do it because if they're passionate and if they want to do it, then they'll actually do a good job at it and want to go in that direction for themselves, not because of me.
Great. Let's hear Michael on this. Michael, what do you think?
Well, I did what Alex just said, and I'll add the sentiment about my dad. Same way with my dad. He never really pushed me to do anything. He'll just say, get something that's stable or get something that you can really be happy with and that you can, raise a family by doing. So, I never wanted to be, growing up, I never wanted to be a lawyer. I thought about being a doctor. Those are like the main jobs that for some reason that always put a smile on his face when I would tell him either doctor or lawyer. And I ended up choosing law. And he's suited with it. But I'm pretty sure if I ended up being a person that was in any field, as long as I was happy, he would be happy, and as long as I could take care of my family, he'll be even happier. Because for him, success is if your family's okay, if they're eating, and that's it. To him, that's what success is, and you're raising your kids. So he would have been happy either way.
Great. And then it will be our last round of question now, guys, and because we're closing the show. In closure, what would you tell the young, what type of advice would you give to the youth now, in terms of their role as parent, future parent, and their role as son in the society we're living now? That will be our last question.
Well, I'll just say mine real quick. Being a parent is not easy, but it comes with a lot of joy. It does, and even you learn a lot about yourself, and the fact that you're raising up another human being is amazing, because at the end of the day, that human being is your legacy. So
Mhm.
just be happy with that, and trust the process. Don't No parent, we as a parent, you don't, as when they're born, they don't come up with instructions. I wish they did. I'm like, I wish they had instructions saying, hey, this is what you got to do if this ever happens. But it really is, as you go along, the joy is there, and it's well worth it. Having a kid is a true blessing, and you should just enjoy it, because a lot of people don't have that ability, and don't have that blessing. So those are my thoughts.
All right. Alex?
So for me, I'm big on relationships, like building relationships and getting to know like people. So what I would tell parents or even children is get to know your parents and get to know your kids. Like spend time and actually get to know them. That is extremely important, because sometimes what happens is you have a corporate relationship, right? Parent, child. And in the Haitian community, it's like you respect me, and that's it, because I'm your parent, and that's why you should listen to me, and that's why you should do what I say. Yeah, that's true. They should, but I think it's a better idea for you to actually find out what they're interested in, participate in things that they're interested in, do the things that they might like to do, spend time with them, get to know them as a person, because guess what? If you're not doing it, somebody else is, and they're building a relationship with somebody else. And, that's going to take away from you as a parent. So I think, for both kids and parents, I think that's important for you to get to know your parents, what they like doing, what are they interested in, all that stuff. And then for a parent, make sure you spend time getting to know your kid, because that's extremely important. That's what's really going to create that long, lifelong relationship that everybody truly wants.
That's I'm going to thank you for that time, that 30 minutes. It's very fruitful, very, very precious advices. And then I'm sure those who are listening, they learn a lot about it. I learned a little bit about it too, although I'm kind of older, but I learned too from it. And then I always practice a bunch of, principle, put a lot of principle in to try to integrate better this new society that wish me, that that kind of embraced me 40 years ago, 30 years ago when I came here. So, and it's great to have you again. And thank you for your time. And next week it will be a complete subject about. We'll be talking in Facebook's Live. We'll be talking about the child tax credit and the new child tax credit and advance payment that will be rolled down starting July 15. And then, until now, I wish you all the best. And next week will come from another edition. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.